Ladies and gentlemen, you remember Trever Bauer, the Los Angeles starting pitcher who kept getting suspended months and months, and he ended up suspended for 2 years because of rape allegation? Well, we got some new news. It's been going around that the chick we're saying that Trever Bauer abused and raped her, fabricated it all just to get his bank account, and she has going around. Her friends go around and sit and say, "Take all his money, take him to the clearing, make him bankrupt, take him to court, and make him serve a life without parole sin." I mean, it's a case. I'll tell you another case. That woman fucking lie about being raped and shit like that. Go watch the ESPN original films, Fantastic Lies. It's about 3 lacrosse players were scholar students, and they were set up by a black junkie bitch that was a hooker and a whore. They were just simply gonna have a frat party. Where's that chick now? In prison for murdering her ex-boyfriend. What happened to those lacrosse players? Their lives got ruined. Yeah, they were innocent, but a rape allegation can ruin a man's life.
All right, hell of a thing. An ex-Major League Baseball player, he gets accused of something.
Yep.
Looks like it's a setup. It's an assault accusation. It's convoluted. We have actual interview testimony provided. Let me put up the picture full mass here. Okay.
That's the bitch.
The former Dodgers pitcher,
fucking cunt whore, Trever Bauer. He got suspended for 2 years because of this fucking bitch.
Lindsey Hill. This lawsuit has now been settled. He can talk about it. Bauer was actually placed on administrative leave by the MLB. This happened in 2021 after the allegations were made by Lindsey Hill, who said Bauer assaulted her on 2 different occasions at his home during what she said began as consensual sex or sexual encounters between them both. So here's what Bauer said about the situation.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. "What should I steal?" she asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? "I'm going to his house Wednesday," she said. "I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll." Then, after the first time we met, "Net worth is 51 mil, she said. "Bitch, you better secure the bag," was the response. But how is she going to do that? "Need daddy to choke me out," she said. "Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, "You got to get this bag." "I'll give you 50,000, Lindsey replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, "Do you feel a tiny bit guilty?" "Not really," she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsey Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsey Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsey Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place.
I actually have more information. Let's put up the picture full mass.
Ready?
Now, the individual who conducts the interview, I really don't rock with her. But because of who she's interviewing and the information provided or lack thereof, it is important for context. So Sarah Gonzalez
News and Why It Matters with Sarah
interviewed
Gonzalez.
Lindsey Hill following Bauer
Sarah Gonzalez is
release
pretty shady herself.
of the video. So we're talking about a direct response. So here's Hill's response when questioned about the video you just saw.
Here it is.
You say this wasn't a setup. How can you expect anyone to believe that?
That's a great question. I really appreciate you having me on to even have this conversation. Obviously, there's a lot going on around this, so I really appreciate people who are asking questions about it. The first thing I want to say is, I think that Trever did this intentionally with the text messages and how he framed this video. There's several things in it that are not correct. And I just want to start out by saying, it's so valid for people to question those text messages. But the root of the problem here is that he is presenting this as one conversation, when in reality he had thousands of messages to choose from, took those, made it look sequential, which it was not. There is no combined screenshot of those things going on one after the other. And as I said last night as well, there's no text message that ever exists. Otherwise he would have, put it out there, combining, anything about a setup through rough sex, finances all in one. Those were handpicked, and they were from multiple different conversations all before we met up. And I think that the video in general doesn't even talk about what actually happened between us two, which is what would have come out during a jury trial. These were all messages that happened before. And then of course the video is so valid as well for people to ask questions about. But I do think that video was entirely misleading. He also references the restraining order hearing, which people also have questions about. He says that he was cleared of any wrongdoing, which is actually incorrect. In our civil case, the judge had actually ruled that he had not been cleared of any wrongdoing, and that was a federal court judge. So
I want to get to the domestic violence restraining order hearing as well, but I mean, so you're saying that it's misleading because you're admitting that you did talk about rough sex and wanting rough sex. You did talk about him needing to choke you out. You did talk about stealing his money, but it's misleading because he put them together in the same video as if you had said it in the same conversation when in fact it was separate conversations, correct? That's why it's misleading?
Correct, and as well as not showing, the messages that occurred after where it discusses it strictly in the term of, being a baseball wife or something like that.
Or something like that. Okay, I'm just curious if you know, like, the statistical likelihood of you texting your friend premeditated texts saying you wanted him to choke you out and steal his money, take his money, and him actually choking you out, and those two things not being related.
I think those are fair questions. Her answers do not make much sense. I do believe some of this was glossed over by
because Lindsey was a liar.
The anchor. However, she was trying. So Gonzalez would actually grill about specific text and actions during the incident. Here it is.
But it does cause a lot of questions as to why I was, seeking Trever out. But at the end of the day, there was nothing about a setup with violence and all of this stuff and getting financial gain. It was strictly, a 25 or however old I was at the time, girl trying to get attention from those things and phrasing it in a sarcastic way before we met.
Okay, so I've got a couple other questions on that. So you said in court that he sexually assaulted you on 2 different encounters, and you say the first time that you say he choked you unconscious. Clearly the insinuation is you didn't like it, because now you're calling it an assault, but why did you make the drive back to LA to meet back up with him a second time if this man had just assaulted you by your own account?
I think that's a really good question. How I phrased it and how I in the past is that I was so embarrassed by the first encounter that I felt something, deep in me to go and take the power back and to be better and to be what he wanted in a sense. And so I don't know. There's been a lot of, through all the processes.
Can you smell bullshit lie out of her mouth?
Experts on the psychology of what happens when you are assaulted, XYZ, but there was something in me that felt like I needed to make it better in a sense.
Okay, but you texted Trever before you met him, telling him you liked rough sex. Then you texted him after your first sexual encounter with him, which you now call an assault. And according to court records, you told him after that sexual encounter that you had, quote, never been more turned on in your life.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
The result of the suit in question is important to highlight. So the former Major League pitcher, Trever Bauer, and the woman who accused him of sexual assault and assault in 2021, they settled their legal dispute. Bauer's attorney said this was October 2nd. Both of their respective claims have been withdrawn with prejudice, effective today. So attorneys John Federoff and Sean Hawley said in a statement. Now, I want to say this. I don't believe her, okay? Personally, I don't believe her story.
Nobody believes her crap.
I don't believe her explanation. I actually believe Bauer. Now, that's not common. Typically, I do actually believe people who claim they've been victims because it takes a lot to go through the barrier of doubt that will permeate, especially in this kind of culture in America. I highlight this story for one very specific reason. As I said, I do not believe the woman and her accusation in this story. A lot of people don't believe it. The judge did not believe her, okay?
Nobody believes
it. It harms actual victims who have to encounter real monsters.
Yeah, it does.
And so because of the narrative that can permeate from that, many times it goes unreported. There are some stats that show over 90% of assaults like this go completely unreported.
Because you know why? I'll tell you one big thing that why sexual assaults, molestation, rapes gonna report it. Because the fact that some victims are so traumatized to even report it, because if they do report it, people say, "Oh, you're lying. You're just trying to do it to get revenge. You're just trying to get financial gain." That's what people would sit there say. So that's why some people are afraid. It's not the fact. It's the fact of embarrassment, or the fact that they're ridiculed, but it's the fact that some people would call them a liar, a manipulator, say, "Oh, you're just doing it for financial gain or to get revenge, to hit back at the perpetrator." And that's a really fucked up mentality in this world.
When an individual makes an accusation, those accusations have to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody does what I believe this woman did, she weakens the overall requirement of belief that we need in order to make sure more people feel empowered to come forward. This is a humanity aspect, okay? I'm not sure if the authorities are going to pick this up or not.
Probably not.
Naturally, there are many people saying that she should be arrested for the false accusation.
But will she? Probably not. You know, all we know is, let's just say it, put it this way, Trevor Bauer's career as a baseball pitcher is forever ruined because of this disgusting, grimy basura cunt. I looked up this. Let's show you what this means. This is called Fantastic Lies 30 for 30. And I'm going to roll you a clip. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to roll you a minute, maybe 2 minutes of this.
The last time you will ever...
Oh, it will be the last time I ever talk about this.
Talk about powerful offense. That is the case with Duke. Folks, they are number one in the nation.
Being at the Division I National Championship really was the thrill of a lifetime.
Head coach Mike Pressler, never a championship for Mike Pressler at any level.
Outside of basketball at Duke, lacrosse was among the most important sports played on the campus.
That was a tight. They score!
they can play more than basketball down in Durham, folks.
Yep.
Lacrosse players were the cool kids. Good looking, big, they were tough, and they were cocky.
But you know what? They loved playing lacrosse. They took big pride in that.
Ultra focus. It's golf culture with an attitude.
They were very popular athletes. Their attendance at parties was a big deal. They ran as a pack, and they were there together in almost everything they did.
Most of the kids are from the Northeast, from well-established families.
Has its first lead since it was 1-0 on a Rabeltown. John Hawkins is a national champion.
I think the kids all want a crack at number one again. And if we're good enough, you know, we're good enough. And I think our guys are good enough.
We knew that this team was going places. That's why everyone was so looking forward to the following year. But they also understood that, you know, it's not that easy to get to redo what you did, to repeat. These were athletes who knew what it was like, that one little thing changes everything.
And it did. One more, we're out of here.
As for my teammates, I love you all. The honor of being voted captain of all of you, the 46 best guys you could ever meet, it's been the greatest honor in my life. I am innocent. Reed Seligman is innocent. Colin Finnerty is innocent. Every member of the Duke University lacrosse team is innocent. You have all been told some fantastic lies.
Bingo. With that said, I'm out here, my job. Peace out.